What's up, everybody? Once again, for another episode of the Transitional Champs, I am America's third most talented person and former AEW superstar, the cripple threat Ryan Niemiller. And with me, as always, is the immortal Gavin Eddings. How are you, Gavin?
Oh, brother, let me tell you.
How we doing?
Well, I've missed you. I've missed your sweet face.
Been a little bit. I've actually got to do my real job again. I've been touring a little bit. And,
which is driving Uber for old women.
Exactly. Which is taking one of those restaurant jobs that I'm lucky to have.
Listen, just take your $7.25 an hour and be happy, you son of a bitch, you lazy asshole.
I know it's limited capacity and no one's going to restaurants, but here's $2.14 an hour. I have a mortgage and I need you to stay poor for me to be able to do it.
Oh, good time.
I just turned heel on America, apparently.
They're lazy. Are you Bret Hart in 1997?
I am 97's Bret Hart. But that's a nice transition for the Transitional Champs.
What?
So we haven't done the video for a little bit, and we were talking this week about what we wanted to discuss. And one of my favorite things in wrestling is a good old fashioned heel turn.
Yeah, so we were talking about exclusively the Big Show's heel turns.
The Victor, it's going to be an 8-hour video.
Actually, Cultaholic did that. They ranked all of the Big Show's face and heel turns. It is 35 minutes long.
That is amazing.
Good stuff.
I like Big Show. I legitimately like Big Show. I think for a big man, he's a good worker. I think he should have just been an attraction. He should have been booked like Andre forever. Not to go too on the nose that he has to be exactly like another giant man.
You mean his kayfabe father?
Exactly, his kayfabe father. But like, it seems like such a no-brainer. Like, the dude's bigger than everybody. That's his gimmick. Like, why are you making him fucking cry all the time?
Why are you putting him in a monster truck?
Yeah, and fucking wearing diapers for no reason. And
there's reasons.
Oh, there's big reasons up here. I'll tell you that much. For my fan fiction, there's a lot of reasons. So let's talk about our favorite heel turns. That's part of wrestling. You know, there's generally good guys and bad guys. And sometimes those good guys become bad guys, Gavin.
Oh, I know. And we all feel the betrayal. Like the best heel turns are the ones you don't see coming. The ones that really take you by surprise and make you go, what just happened? They're really doing this. And there have been some good ones throughout the history of professional wrestling. We're going to start all the way back in 1935 when Gumdrop Williams first turned heel on his good friend Radish Jones.
And the behind the scenes reason that happened was that Radish Jones had to go back to his job in the coal mines before the Major League Baseball season started. That's what he had to do.
Or they had to move territories.
They moved territory. So I think we came up with a list of 5.
We did because we had 3 each, but one of them is overlapping. Can you guess what it is?
Well, I can. I know. We discussed this beforehand.
I wanted to pause like a Dora the Explorer episode and have people yell at their TVs.
Be like,
bueno, Niemiller, bueno.
Like, no, dipshit. It's this one. So we came up with 5. These will be in no particular order that we discuss them. We'll go ahead and go with one of yours. I'll give the floor to you, my dear friend Gavin.
I deserve this. The first one that came to mind for me is one that is fairly recent that I remember watching live, and it took place in the summer of 2014. And it was when Seth Rollins turned on his Shield brethren and joined Triple H. This one really shocked me because the Shield had a lot of mileage left. They had just turned face. They had 2 great matches with Evolution. Literally the night after, I think it was a Falls Count Anywhere match or a No Holds Barred match with Evolution, which is a banger. It's great. Batista quits to go do more movies. And then they're like plan B. And everybody expected the Shield to break up and Dean Ambrose be the heel.
Yeah. I was going to mention that. Dean was the front runner as clearly being the one that was going to betray his brethren. Yeah.
But Seth Rollins, who did some heel work in Ring of Honor, but nobody expected him to be, he had the flashier moveset, so nobody really expected him to be the heel. And when he hit Roman Reigns with a chair, just the look on Dean Ambrose's face, it was truly shocking because nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, this was one of those. So this was not our overlap.
Mm-hmm.
This is a complicated one for me because the actual turn I thought was brilliant. Like that moment is very cool. That look of betrayal on Dean's face. That's a hard chair shot.
Yeah.
That moment is awesome. Like I love that. And then it was a situation that like at the time, for some of the reasons you just talked about, it didn't make a lot of sense in the grander scheme of the stories because they had just been feuding with Evolution. They did have these like banger matches.
And they beat Evolution.
Yeah. And then instantly Seth Rollins joins what were they called? The Authority? The Authority. I was going to say corporation, but that was old school.
No chance.
Yeah. But he joins the Authority after having logically it didn't make sense in that moment in my head. And then just when I started to see how Seth's character evolved during that, then it was something that ended up working.
Yes.
For me. The moment, the reasoning made no sense to me. And then it just worked.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just figures itself out. And I think this was a situation where it figured itself out.
I think the story didn't hit its climax at it didn't fully hit all the right notes until he cashed in at WrestleMania 31. And that's when it all kind of, he betrayed his friends, but now he has a championship. He's ending WrestleMania. He beat Roman Reigns to screw over Brock Lesnar and one of his former best friends. So that's when it really came to a head, and that's when you're like, oh, this was a great heel turn. And when WWE plants the seeds in advance and they pay off that story, it works so well. They're often very bad about doing that, so that's why when they do it correctly, you're like, oh, that was really great.
I would love to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they had planned that far ahead. I doubt they did. It just, like I said, it just kind of worked because I think Seth, that was, for me, I'm not the biggest Seth Rollins guy in the world. I hate his current character. I don't love much of what he does right now. It just does. His character is going, ha ha. Like that's his character for me.
Feuding with the Mysterios.
Yeah. So, but that, I think that run when he was kind of like the chicken shit heel with the Authority behind him, but he could still go enough. And I thought that all worked really well. And for me, personally, when he tore his ACL, he hasn't been the same character since. He's had flashes here and there.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be gone or anything. It's not that severe for me, but I feel like he hasn't hit that stride quite the same as he did during that heel Authority WWE champion run.
I get that. Yeah. Okay. So that is Seth Rollins' heel turn back in 2014. Ryan, hit us with one of your heel turns.
One of my favorite heel turns of all time, and not just because my buddy was betrayed for this one. It was the Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho. I feel like it was one of the most obvious heel turns, I think. But that's the thing about wrestling is I feel sometimes they bookers will overthink it and feel they have to just shock everyone and that makes it good. Sometimes the obvious conclusion to a story is what people want. That is the proper build. And they had been building this for so long. It was Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were buddies. And then Jericho was kind of doing this lackey character and just slowly annoying Kevin Owens as Kevin Owens was just kind of just getting fed up with it and wanting to be taken seriously and didn't want to be messing around with all this nonsense. And then Jericho does this Festival of Friendship to kind of save their friendship essentially. And there's there was the art piece that he had commissioned.
Yes, the God creating David or Adam or whatever.
Yeah. So it's nonsense like that. And then just you were waiting for it. And then when I think, if I remember correctly, Kevin Owens kind of gives a gift to Jericho too. And it was like, what, the list of Owens or something? I think is what we call it. And then he just looks at it and he's like, hey, my name's on here. I think that's like just the most brilliant, like, because they gave it just enough time in that moment. You have, I think, 2 or 3 seconds where like Jericho has the realization of, oh fuck, I'm about to get my ass beat.
Yeah.
Like this about, and then like a heel turn is also, it's not just the motivation for somebody doing it, but like it has to be dastardly enough that you care. If someone just like walks out, it's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Okay, whatever. But like that was a beating. That was like, and it's supposed to be his best friend. The payoff wasn't great. Jericho's told the story a few times. It was supposed to be the main event of Mania for the title, but then the mighty Goldberg had to come in and take the title, and then they got the second match of the night, and it didn't quite have the payoff that it deserved. But man, that's in an era where Monday Night Raw doesn't have a lot of memorable moments. That is something I think everyone kind of goes, yep, Festival of Friendship.
And what's good about that heel turn is even though Jericho was turning more tweener at this point, because the list was so over, he got clicking a pin over, which is an achievement. But not only did it turn Owens more heel, it turned Jericho face because he had just been betrayed. So not only did you have somebody doing something evil, you had somebody gain a lot of sympathy seeing them betrayed. And so you made the move doubly memorable, a little bit of the doubly for Jericho, because he got to turn face. So yeah, that is definitely a great one. I love Kevin Owens. You love Jericho. Best of both worlds there.
Yeah, like I said, I wish the payoff would have gotten a little bit more that it deserved, but that whole story, honestly, outside of just the final match, that whole story is just a great. Even the building their alliance is just so well done, and Jericho kind of being taken advantage of, but not really knowing because he just was so enamored with his friendship with Owens, and then that's how you build it, man. You got to have that like. It has to be a reason why his heart would break that it would happen. So it was, just good stuff.
That is a great pick. All right. So now we're going to go outside of the WWE. And it's not Gumdrop
to the WWF. Here we go.
We're going all the way back to before we got the F out.
Yeah, to the year 2000.
Okay. I'm going with CM Punk turning heel in Ring of Honor in the summer of 2005, the original summer of Punk. Everybody knew CM Punk was on the way out in May of that year. I believe it was May or June of that year. They had a pay-per-view. He was taking on Austin Aries for the Ring of Honor title. CM Punk had never had the title before. They put on a 30-minute match. It's a great match. And then CM Punk wins the match. Against all odds, here's a guy leaving. He wins the championship. And instead of giving like the heartfelt, like, oh yeah, I'm so happy for you, he turns on the crowd and says he's taking the belt with him to WWE, which is the land of evil in 2005.
Sure.
People still look at it that way. And then the entire summer, his heel turn, and I was reading an article about this. Most people on their way out put people over. CM Punk was destroying people on his way out as a way to say, I'm better than all of you. He signed his WWE contract on the belt. He used the belt to sign the contract on. And then just
that's a baller move right there. I'm not going to lie. That
is so
that's
good.
A baller move.
Just to get the most heat, sign the competitor's contract on their championship.
When I sign with WWE's podcasting division, I'm going to sign my contract on your bloody forehead after I turn heel on you, Gavin. That is what I'm going to do.
Dip the quill in my forehead because you are pretentious and you will use a quill.
Yes.
So, and then just the end of the feud too, where on the way out, he does lose the belt to Jamie Noble. Which is always kind of funny. Like Jamie Noble was bringing what he was, and then he also
he was still working. He was James Gibson at the time.
Yeah, he was
right?
James Gibson.
He was working. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So then after that, he does put Colt, and then he has a last match with like Colt Cabana, and that's when he does lose and actually gets his Heroes for All. But just nobody saw that coming. That he's going to win his championship in his last match in the company, and then tell us all to go fuck ourselves.
Yeah, that's and Punk essentially he did it more as the face later.
Yeah,
but like it feels like that was a great trial run for what the mainstream wrestling fans consider the summer of Punk, the 2011 run.
Which we talked about in this video right here.
Yeah.
Which I'll link to.
Yeah, make sure you gotta have to move it because you did
I know,
there.
Where's
and
it gonna
be? And then put it next to me too. It was this video right here. That's it.
You're causing so much editing and motion tracking, Ryan.
Yeah. I will be honest. That is not an era of Ring of Honor I'm super familiar with. Not like a month-to-month storyline ways. I've heard of this story before. You kind of refreshed me a little bit when you brought up as a thing. I don't like Punk, but man, he is such a good asshole.
Yes.
Like that works because you can and the reason it works, it's part of what makes him unlikable a little bit to me as a human is what makes him such a great heel, because he probably believes that shit. He does think he's better than everybody else. And that's why it works, because it's believable to him.
And like everything he did in WWE was a lot of his recycled heel work from Ring of Honor. Like when he was with doing the Jeff Hardy's a drug addict stuff, like he did that to Raven, but it was like so much worse. Like he's like pouring booze in sober Raven's mouth. And it's just, so yeah, heel Punk in Ring of Honor was a piece of shit and people hated him.
Yeah, which is impressive, because that's Ring of Honor, not to the extent, but they've always, like, Ring of Honor fans have always come off a little bit to me the same way ECW fans were.
Very smarty.
That like as soon as you become like really over, you're de facto a face, even if you're supposed to be a heel.
Yeah.
So getting actual heel heat from smarky wrestling fans
it's so hard to
impressive.
Do.
Yeah. Because the better you are being a heel, usually you're going to get cheered for that by those people, because they respect your work. So they're going to cheer you. They don't want to smart, like, as much as I smart wrestling fans, like, I love the passion of those fans, but they don't often go along with the show.
Yeah.
They don't play their part per se. You buy your ticket, you can do whatever you want, but they don't always play their part for the show, where it's like, okay, this guy's a piece of shit. We're going to boo the piece of shit. We're going to make this happen,
But listen, there's one night a year, the Raw to WrestleMania Maggle, where where they boo who they cheer and they cheer who they should boo. That's crazy.
God, even I'm popular on this night,
and I bullied everybody in the locker room. So yeah, CM Punk is one of my favorite heel turns of all time.
All right. This one, again, not the one that we double. We'll save that for the last, since, well, we can do that as a team. This one is my favorite. This one's my absolute favorite heel turn of all time. It's a pretty famous one. And a heel turn is good when it happens, almost 30 years ago at this point, and people not even that old know about it. That's a good heel turn. I am talking about when the very popular team of the Rockers broke up, when Shawn Michaels decided he no longer needed Marty Jannetty, hit him with the super kick, and threw him through the window at the barber shop while Ed Leslie lost his mind. It's just such a, that was an era of time where, obviously everything was slow built a lot more. And they had been teasing the issues between Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty for months. It was kind of a situation where, Shawn was getting a little too big for his britches, to use old man slang.
His tasseled britches.
Thinking he didn't need Marty anymore. He wanted to go on his own. Marty was holding him back. That was back in the era where part of the TV storyline was there was an expose in WWF magazine where a cool use of all their media at the time. I think that's perfectly fine.
Nowadays, Marty Jannetty would have just tweeted at him, be like, well, "What's going on, bro?" And
what's up, bro?
And then Shawn Michaels would have blocked him, and it'd be on the front page of WWE.com, be like, "Shawn Michaels blocked Marty Jannetty
on Twitter." Are the Rockers in danger?
Marty Jannetty's on Parlor.
Yeah, he probably is. So they kind of build this tease for a while, and then they do this interview on the barber shop that was also an era where they were trying to get somebody who could do Piper's Pit. Everyone had a show. They still kind of do this now. They still have Ms. TV. It's essentially the same thing.
There's like Ms. TV and the highlight reel, and
There's the Peep Show, and even Shawn Michaels had Heartbreak Hotel. Jerry Lawler had the King's Court.
Oh God, there's too many.
There's the Snake Pit that Jake Roberts had. There's been a ton. We're probably missing a ton of. We
should just find a list of the most nonsensical talk shows they've tried to do.
Oh, yeah, our favorite talk shows of all time on WWE. That's our next one. But so they get together on the barbershop and they're going to talk it out, and it looks like they've patched it up. And then Shawn gives such a good super kick.
Like I felt it in my loins.
Oh God! And then what is a very important part of this turn too is Bobby Heenan's heel work, because I think Gorilla Monsoon is mortified that Shawn would be such a lowly piece of shit to turn on his best friend like this, whereas like Bobby Heenan's like I knew he was going to do that. I knew, because at first he's like, oh, this is disgusting. I can't believe it. He's like, I knew they were going to do that. He doesn't need him. And then he throws him through the window, which at the time that WWF didn't do super violent turns like that. Like there'd be blood in matches sometimes, but they didn't do angles that often that were like really like, shit. So he throws him through the window, which is a pretty intense thing to do to your best friend. And then Bobby Heenan is so brilliant where they show the replay of it. And then Bobby Heenan's like, look, Marty Jannetty was so scared of Shawn Michaels, he threw himself through the window to get away. Like just that kind of stuff, which is like funny, but at the same time, it's like such like
in character.
Yeah, it's so dastardly heel. Like what a piece of shit. Like clearly he didn't throw himself to get him. And then I mean that starts Shawn Michaels. He like the following week he's in the '92 Royal Rumble and he kind of has that early Heartbreak Kid look. It's the first time we broke that out. And then it was kind of off and running for there. And it's such a weird thing, too, because I think that heel turn was so effective. And Shawn Michaels was such a hard worker at the time. Like he was so motivated to succeed. Because anything you read from back about that time, everyone thought Marty Jannetty was the star. This was supposed to set him off to get a singles run and be very sympathetic. Yeah. And Marty just couldn't get his head straight. He was just partying and doing all this other stuff. And Shawn Michaels was just so damn good and undeniable that like, okay, well, he's the guy now. We'll make this. It's go back and watch that. It's right before Royal Rumble 92. It's brilliant work.
Yes. Good stuff. I love that. I'm a big Shawn Michaels fan. So good. So I like the way you had to throw in Brutus the Barber Beefcake was there and just horrified.
Yeah, just horrified. What are you doing?
All right. And then the one that we both shared, because I thought we were both going to share Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels at one point was like my number one, I guess. But then I was like, oh no, there's that time that Hulk Hogan turned on the entire wrestling universe.
Yes. Yeah. So what we're talking about is Bash at the Beach 96, where Hulk Hogan comes out and is revealed to be the third man of the New World Order. I think it was the New World Organization, as he mistakenly said during the promo.
Which is the name of my rap label.
Yeah.
that I'm starting.
So Hogan turning on WCW and essentially the wrestling world, as you said, to become the third man in the NWO. He had heel runs like early in his career when he was like Terry Boulder and, early Hulk Hogan in WWF. But I mean, as far as anyone knew, Hogan is the prototype for what a cookie cutter American wrestling babyface was. And for him to turn and join with like these invaders, people who are, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who are here to destroy the sanctity of WCW, Gavin.
The sanctity of it.
It's like no one else could have done that. To make that work. I truly believe, I'm not the biggest Hogan fan in the world. He's a ridiculous human being in a lot of ways. But like I think the backup plan was like, from what Bischoff and everyone says, like Sting was the backup plan. And Sting, I like Sting. I don't think it has the same pop that
It does.
that
I think Sting is a good choice. Hogan was the great choice.
Yeah.
And the most one that nobody saw coming. So you have Hulk Hogan walking out, pointing, Drew getting all juiced up, eating his prayers, saying vitamins.
Saying vitamins, just vitamins, vitamins,
D, B,
vitamins.
And he came out, and you're like, oh, he's gonna save, and then he drops the leg on the Macho Man Randy Savage, and everybody's like, what? And fans of wrestling back then, they knew it wasn't real, but also didn't know it wasn't real. And
Right.
they threw trash and garbage because they were so upset. They were so mad that they violated that arena's policy of not throwing things in the ring.
It's very true. A lot of people received fines that night. Yeah, and that was like, it was such a like that whole story. It's just a perfect storm of everything, because like when you go watch it back now, and if you know how wrestling works, a lot of the early NWO stuff, it kind of feels like, okay, this is a wrestling storyline. It's a very cool wrestling storyline. But like at that time, nothing like that was being done. And it was a time in wrestling, because I remember having these conversations where it was, okay, wrestling's fake, but those guys are from WWF. Like that shit's real. Like this is actually happening. So it was such like a cool, like, it was a way that like, even if in the back of your head, you kind of like, if you think about it, you're like, well, no, they would just be arrested and they wouldn't be shown on. They wouldn't get, if they were really trying to invade, they wouldn't be given a match to like, but like in your head, you start thinking it's like, well, they're from I just saw them on WWF. What are they?
What are they
and
doing?
like, oh, he's just saying like, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here, and just like shit like that. It blurred the line so good that like, I remember even early on, like at that point, I was starting to get into I got on the internet not long before that. And the first thing I did with the internet is like, I'm reading message boards, and I was basically smartening myself up as best as you can on the internet to wrestling. And I remember even me going like, okay, I know what all this other stuff, the storyline stuff is whatever, but this is some real shit. Like, I can't believe, are they still under contract? What are they doing there? And then Hogan is the coup de grace to that. Like Hogan is, again, you said Sting, good choice, Hogan, great choice. For me, Hogan, I think, is the only choice.
Yes.
To make that work long term.
Unless you have Brutus the Barber beefcake.
Which they did, eventually.
He comes out, you think he's going to cut hair, drops the leg on Macho Man.
Oh, no. And then cuts his head off. Pops right off. It's very violent. But yeah, I mean, that changed the course of wrestling. Like,
it did.
I don't think that's being hyperbolic at all. It changed the way it made wrestling cool. It was like, for the first thing, it made wrestling cool. It made Vince McMahon and WWF eventually have to change how they did business. It added a lot of stuff. Like, it made guaranteed contracts more prevalent. It changed just the way the product was done. You couldn't do jobber squash matches anymore. Like, you had to have, because like WCW Nitro, everything was a feature match, you know, or at least with guys you had heard of before. Maybe not all the best matches in the world, but you knew who these characters were. It wasn't Matt Hardy with his mullet before he was part of the Hardy Boys or any of that. So like, it even changed the way WWF, like Raw was still like, okay, it's Adam Bomb, this cartoon guy wrestling this no-name hairy dude. And then over here you have Rey Mysterio getting lawn darted into the side of it. And Hogan's the perfect guy for that. Like, because fans were turning on Hogan already. Like, the act was old. Yeah. And like, people didn't want to say vitamins and eat their prayers anymore. They didn't want to do that. So him doing that, and just like the presentation and everything, the heel, it's so well done. Even Hogan's kind of lame heel promo works. Yeah. When he tells the fans to stick it.
This was still 1996. You couldn't tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
it wasn't Russo era yet, where he comes out at Bash to the Beach yet a mere 4 years later and calls Hogan a politicking piece of shit. Yep. Oh, WCW, what a sweet ride you had.
Yes.
I do love I do love me some NWO still has prevalence today. They're going they went to the Hall of Fame. If you wear an NWO shirt today, people will know what it is. Like you can get premium NWO shirts today, and people will be like, and it looks cool. It's an iconic logo, and the NWO it got a little inflated. It got a little much, but that original like 4 or 5 people in a group together, the original 3, so good and probably the most effective heel turn of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say without a doubt.
There we go. All right. So those were our heel turns.
That was a good list.
Yeah.
Gavin, tell the people where to find Gavin.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Gavin Eddings. You can also follow me on YouTube at Gavin Loves Horror. I talk about horror movies and horror things. A lot of heel turns in them horror movies. So that's where you can find. I don't know why I got so heated at that.
I don't know either. It was very intense.
Listen, brother.
You got mad when all those kids drown Jason Voorhees.
I get really mad. They bullied that crippled, slightly mentally handicapped child. Yeah, it was upsetting.
Yeah, Jason is a justified heel turn. you know why he turned heel.
Yeah, you're like, he was drowned. Okay, yes, I get it.
All right, I get it.
And Ryan, you're on the road again.
I am.
Doing some comedy.
Yes, so Cripple Threat 8 on all the things. You can see me on tour here. Dates coming up. I'm in Boston at the Hideout Comedy Club, May 20th through the 22nd. I'm at the Des Moines Funny Bone. The end of May, I think the 27th through the 29th. That sounds about right. The next week after that, I'm at Mall of America at House of Comedy in Minneapolis, June 3rd through the 6th.
Where you will be making a run-in during their Monday Nitro taping?
I absolutely will. It'll be me showing up out of nowhere in front of the Jamba Juice. Like, what's he doing here? And then the week after that, I'm at Bananas Comedy Club in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. So buy some tickets.
Going to Jersey?
Going to Jersey. Okay. So buy some tickets to that. And I'll have some news on it soon. But since I'm moving here, you can kind of see back here, it's looking a little bare. Look, we're kind of cleaning things up. Why
am I peeking? I'm like,
I don't know either. You can see through there. But yeah, I'm moving soon, so I'm going to have a much nicer setup. I'm going to start doing some more comedy and video game content on YouTube. So look forward to that. My personal YouTube is Cripple Threat 8. So go ahead and subscribe there and get ready.
Yeah, and also subscribe to this channel because we like.
Yeah, do that too. I guess if you want, whatever. I
like the way we're like promoting our more successful products. Like, listen, this channel sucks. Okay, go watch him do stand up. Go watch my horror videos. And
do that. Do that. But also, I guess like, comment, and subscribe.
Whatever.
Let us know what you want to talk. If you want us to talk about anything.
And who are your favorite heel turns? Like who shocked you when they turned heel?
Yes. And which one of the Big Show's turns was it?
I love it. I love that it's me. Ryan, a pleasure as always.
If I had a cap, that would have been very cool.
I feel like you flipped it too many times.
I did. I just kept my hand twisted, and now it's like a propeller that I can propel myself through the water.
All right, Justin Timberlake in the video.
Well, good as always, Gavin. And for all you transitional champites out there, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.